Alrighty, that time again. That time again. Yes, it is time to do more stuff. And, let's see what we got going on here. Okay, Steve here, the retired hobby tech guy. Hopefully you can see me. What we're going to end up doing is taking a look and seeing if we can do a little bit of dry brush painting. And as you can see, we've got a Warhammer Dude. And we're going to try to elevate this print with the idea of doing some dry brushing. So, and we got our little tablet here, so that way if anybody makes some comments, we can reply to the comments, or at least see them anyway, and we'll see how it goes. And it also serves as kind of a monitor to see how, if I'm in frame and how all this works out. Also, it'd be interesting to see if there's any video lag and the audio and the video sync up, because we've been having a lot of problems with that. Okay, so with that being said, we have our little brush here that what we're going to end up doing is doing some dry brushing. This is, I got this, I think, at a cosmetic store here in Korea. I think it was at Daiso. It's kind of like a dollar store type thing, except it's a little bit more elevated. And I got a number of these. So I've got, and they're kind of cheap. You know, you can see the wiggle in that. It's it is what it is. But they also had some smaller ones. So we've got these, and what was the? So we got a couple more. Yeah, I think we got a few more. I think these were Daiso. Now I'm not sure. So we're going to try to do some dry brushing, and since it's a bigger guy, we're going to go with this one here. So we'll give that a shot and see what happens with that. Just give it a try, see what happens. Doing more dry brushing stuff. That is really crazy. It's like a makeup sponge, and it is like bone dry. I thought I was going to use that, apparently not. So we'll just do, we'll just put our dry brush into a little bit of water, and then what we'll end up doing is we'll just kind of dry that off with this little piece of paper towel that we have laying around from doing other stuff where we finished up our orc, or no, it was a cave troll. And for those of people who watch that and haven't seen the final result, let me go get that. This was pretty good. Really enjoyed this print, and there is, I think we're in the center. Here is the cave troll. As we can see, what we ended up doing was a series. This was black primer, and then what we ended up doing was getting the we had a number of inks, and so we used, well, that wasn't it. What did we use? We used the yellow ochre for the skin, and then we came in with the imidazolone brown. We put little blotches onto the skin, as you can see there, and then we came in with a diluted bamboo green, and we really we did a lot of dilution of that. I think it was like 50-50, maybe a little bit more, and we put that over the yellow and the brown spotches, and that turned out pretty good. We did the metal, the plate mail and all that stuff, and the helmet. We did that in Lead Belcher from Citadel, and we also did some bronze on parts of the chain. We did some leather brown, that was Army Painter. We did some more bronze on the buckles. and then we did a little bit of wash in the back here to settle into these recessed areas, so it kind of looks a little bit like a shadow, so it just wasn't one big gray expanse. And then what we ended up doing is we painted the teeth with skeleton bone, and then we used the purple, what was it? It was an alien purple. It was another purple. It was, no, that wasn't it either. There was some type of purple that we ended up using. Orc blood. That's what we ended up using. We ended up using orc blood for the inside of the mouth, and then we ended up using dragon red for the tongue. And so we did all that. We did a little bit of wash on the teeth, and then we coated that with some premium airbrush gloss varnish. All we did was we just painted that on so we get kind of that wet look inside the mouth and up on the nose area. And then after that, well, not after that, but also during that, we painted the eyes white. We put a little bit of blue in there, which was the Void Shield blue. And then we put a black dot in the center for the pupil, and that actually turned out good. So let's see if we can get this into where you can take a look at that, and hopefully it doesn't wash out. But the face on this turned out really, really good. And again, you can see some of the details on this. I was super happy on how this printed out. So yeah, very, very happy with that. So we're going to put that over here. But what we're going to end up doing here is a little bit of dry brushing onto this FDM printed Warhammer Dude. And I think I got him off of Cults 3D. It was a free figure. And when I first started getting into resin printing, Cults 3D, I just downloaded a bunch of free models and stuff like that, stuck them on my hard drive. So I don't know if these are still available or not, but I've got this one, and then I also have this guy here. So yeah, it's gonna be some cool looking dudes here that we're gonna be doing. And I've got a base and everything printed out for them. I've got one base printed out. I need to print out another, but I think we'll do this one first. So set that guy here, and we'll go ahead and we will begin our painting. So we're going to use Matte White by Army Painter. We're going to mix that up a wee bit using our little paint shaker thing here that we got going on. Army Painter paints are pretty thick, so they will need to be diluted, so that way we can kind of make that paint go as long as possible is basically what it comes down to. So we will go ahead and we will put this there, because I think this is going to take a little bit of paint. And then since we got our brush, again, we already kind of dampened that up a little bit. I think we're good. And then we got to get a little bit of water, and we will add that to our white. Just do 3 drops and see how that fares. And then we'll mix this up. I really need to get one of those palettes that has those little half or semicircle things in there. That would be really nice instead of using this cheesy little thing that we ended up getting here. It might be a little bit thin. I don't know. We'll give it a shot and see what happens. The worst thing that can happen if you screw up, you just paint over it and start again. So we'll go ahead and we will go ahead and load our brush up like so. And then once we got that Gonna roll that around a little bit, and then we'll go to our dry palette. This dry palette was actually 3D printed on my Creality K2 Plus. We've got some rocks, some pallet or wood. Looks like we got some ground, and then we got some barrels and different things so that we can, I don't know, practice. So we're just going to go ahead and get the majority of this paint off of here until we don't see anything coming off. And then when we put it on our hand, we've got a little bit too much there. So we can just brush that off. We'll just go in a circle. And even that's a little bit much. I think that's pretty good. We'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and we'll start on something on the back here. And all we'll do is we'll just kind of hit the highlight areas. And you can see that's starting to come out. And we'll just kind of do some circles. You can go in a couple different directions to really kind of get that color in there. And there we go. So we want to keep the recesses with a little bit of black on there, and we want to highlight the edges so we're not going to smash our brush deep into the model. We just kind of want to get the edges. Should have got something to drink. And there, what we end up having. So we got the first part of that done. Not bad. Pretty quick and easy. Brings out the details. And so what we'll end up doing. The other reason I wanted that this sponge here that I was going to use, and it's just super dry. I think I might end up going and getting this wet, damping it up, wringing it out, and what I can end up doing is actually using this to reactivate the little bit of paint that is left over because we're not getting anything coming out of it. I think we're almost pretty much done. Yeah, you can see we're kind of running out on that, and you know, we got a tiny bit, but it's not really doing anything. So like on this little picture back here, it's not really coming off. We've pretty much used everything that's on this brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to wet this and wring it out, and what we'll end up doing is kind of brushing this across here, and we'll reactivate a little bit of paint, and that way we can make our paint go a little bit farther. So I will be right back. Very quickly. All right, we have the sponge. And just perfect place for that makeup sponge that we got at Daiso. So, alrighty, so let's see if this will actually reactivate. We'll just kind of brush that on there. Hopefully it'll reactivate. And we will go on to our model, and let's go ahead and oh, we do get a little bit left in there. See how that's barely coming out. So we got a little bit on there. Not not a crazy amount. It's, I don't know. We gave it a shot. I'll just go ahead and we'll rub this around there. And we'll just go back to the tried and true. I don't know, some people swear with the sponge. I think maybe I just used up too much paint. So we'll just go ahead and we'll run this around on our palette. Again, we can always go on our hand, and then we'll go back to our model, and then we can get the details. So yeah, there we go. So really, and now let's try reactivating and see what this does. Maybe we can get a little bit of, well, we get a little bit on there. I don't know, that damp sponge, maybe it needs to be a little damp, more damp than what it is. I don't know, watch the people on YouTube do it, and the great people. There's some crazy people that do some awesome painting. It's just incredible on what they end up doing. I've only been painting for a couple years now, and I've really enjoyed learning how to do this stuff. And so now we're just going to go to the top. And we're basically, I should have started at the top and go all the way, and then work my way down. And then this should give me some pretty good texture, and get some highlights on these top areas. And then as we go down, we'll still have some recessed areas, and the dark will be dark, and that will be our shadow areas. And then when we end up putting in some colors on here, and basically I've got some slap chop or contrast paints from Army Painter, whatever they're called, speed paints, that's what they're called. I've got some speed paints that are going to be coming in, so I'm really looking forward to those. So there we can see this has turned out good. This was printed at a 0.16 layer height on my Creality K2 Plus. Pretty good. Could go down a little bit more, but that would add more time to the print time, which that wouldn't be too bad of a thing, I don't think. But with that, I could have painted this with a filler primer that would have hid these layer lines a little bit better. But I didn't do that. I just ended up doing some black primer paint out of a spray can. I can't even remember which one it is. It's sitting in the other room. So this will be good enough for government work. So, and having spent a career in the military and working for state government and federal government, it's like, okay, good enough. Good enough. And by the time we distress it and get things going on here, I think what we'll end up having is, I think we'll have a pretty decent look on this. And especially on these areas here. We kind of want to get the white on there. And then have a little bit of recess in there. So So we still get a little bit of coloring in there. So that is coming out pretty good. And basically, we kind of want to look at this as like where the sun comes down is where we want the big highlighted portions and areas that would really catch the light. And then as it goes down and we get into the underside of the areas, then what will end up happening is that'll be our shadow realm. And the shadow realm should be kind of dark. And so, still a little bit much. And I think here we go. Put some more on these tops up here, since that is going to be like a highlight area, and that is pretty, I think we're coming out pretty good on that. So on the underside area of the arms, we're going to keep that a little bit dark. So we're going to need some more paint. This is a larger need some more paint, need some more water. Maybe 50-50. Do a little bit of mixing. Hopefully I don't get that brown in there. Kind of overshot. I think we're good to go on that. So now, let's just go ahead and kind of wipe away that little bit of pool that's near the brown. Get rid of that. It's really runny. And now we will start on the head area. Certain areas that we just want to put more, as we want to try to get that in there. It's kind of like we want to shade that in there. So we're getting his face a little bit better, so that is good. Okay, just kind of hit some of this here. Just try to kind of hit the helmet a lot. Try to get the center of the face so that we got that going on. I think it's turning out pretty good. So now let's go ahead and we'll move on to the other arm. And something about dry brushing, I don't know, it's kind of relaxing. You could do like airbrushing. I mean, you definitely could do airbrushing. Like for example, I ended up doing airbrushing on this guy here, and it's kind of a zenithal where it's top down, and if you tilt him up, you can see he's got a lot of dark in the shadow areas, so it's kind of doing that same thing. But I don't know. This is doing the dry brush isn't a bad thing either. Just different tools in the toolbox. So one is no better than the other. It just, you have different places, different applications. Bit. So that is coming out kind of good. Do it a little bit. And now let's go ahead and we'll jam on his hammer. See how these details are really coming in. That's a cool thing I like about the dry brushing, is it just kind of appears, you know, all the details really pop out, which is cool. I dig that. You could put like rubber feet on the bottom of this or something. That would be nice. Okay, let's go ahead, and we should be pretty much loaded up there. On the back side, we're just going to do a light brushing on this because the light is coming down from this direction, so really want to get the edging on this stuff here, and then as it goes down where the sun is going to hit it, you know, we're going to have some real good details here. But when we get down to the other side where it starts to get dark, and as this is laid over, you're not going to see as much light. So pretty much we're going to hit it all the way down here, and then after that, on the other side, we'll just kind of, we'll lessen that. Make that a little bit lighter. We'll have some on the arm. We're running out of paint. Imagine that. What are the odds? That's coming out good. I like it. And I didn't start painting. I started painting when I was, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. And then the last time I painted something, I was 10 years old. Then I took a long hiatus. And I didn't start painting until a couple of years ago, and I'm almost 59. So, yeah, it's an old dog can learn new tricks. So, there is something to be said for that. So if you think it's too late to learn, nah, go ahead, jam on it, watch a bunch of videos, have some fun with it. And I think part of the problem I had was there's so many good artists out there that you look at their work and you're just like, holy crap. It's almost defeatist. So you look at their work and it's like looking at a Van Gogh or looking at the Sistine Chapel, and then you're coloring in a coloring book. So it can be a little daunting at times, but still, it's not too bad. And it basically comes down to just watching a bunch of videos. Start with learning how to prime your miniatures or your figures, and then after that, just work on one technique at a time, and that's really what it comes down to. So we're not going to get too crazy with this stuff here, because it's going to be all dark underneath here. So I just wanted to have it brighter on this side here, and we got it a little bit darker, but it's still there, but it's faint. So kind of want to play with that light. So it looks like there's more light on this side than there is on this side, but we still get a little bit of details. So we'll see how that goes. Put a little bit more there on that skeleton. Because that's going to be a focal area. Again, kind of up there. And on the Aquila, it's on the hammer. And then a little bit more on this guy down here on his head. So it kind of brings that out a bit. So I think we're doing pretty good. Just some minor details. So again, we can see what we got going on. And again, even though that's kind of I just want to try to get this. Oh, I forgot about that skull back there. That is definitely going to be a little bit brighter. So we definitely want to get that pretty white, at least on that one side. And you can see how that skeleton, how it's kind of bright on this side. And then the same thing here. I'm just going to kind of make sure it's, and then it kind of fades out to the dark down here a little bit. So I think that's good. Good. A little bit of white, more white there. More on those edges there. Should be good. Oh, let's see. We're running out of paint again. Imagine that. What are the odds? And now we'll start to get on the Aquila. Get a little bit of detail work on there. Get the edging on that. And again, just kind of getting some some light on the top here, and then we'll kind of fade out towards the bottom. But we still want a little bit of details on the bottom. But to do that, we're going to need more paint. With more paint, we're going to need some more water. Back to mixing our paint up. Again, that's what I need to look for at Daiso, is a paint tray. To see if they have some of those. But I don't want something long like this. I just want something that has a little round thing, just got like 3 or 4 or 6 things that is about that big around, all together. I think that would be good. And something, maybe even silicone, that would be easy to clean up. That would be nice. Silicone and acrylic paints those two things go together because they're easy to clean. And then with the palette, what you can end up doing is you can actually kind of practice the distance of your brush to the model, because if you really smash it in there, you're basically just painting. But with dry brushing, like as we look down here, what we can end up doing is just going back and forth and practicing a little bit and just getting the top edges of these things here, so we can kind of practice. Even though it's a lot of paint, we can still go through and just practice on that height to where we just hit the edges of some of those items. So you kind of practice with your distance a little bit. If I ended up going and smashing everything in here, basically you're just painting. So that's not what we want to do. So let's go ahead. Is that too much? No, I think we'll be okay. See how we got that to where it's kind of lighter up on this side of the arm, and then just kind of here, and right up in there, kind of up on his center of his face. We'll just kind of draw in just a tiny bit. Just a little bit underneath, not much. To replicate those shadows. So then we can go down here. Just give it, and there's the belt. The Bat utility belt. And so bit of light going down there. Again, I'm not sure about this. Can we get anything more out of that? Not really. A tiny bit. Maybe I just need to dampen that makeup sponge a little bit more. Maybe that's it. And then And that's the cool thing. If you get too much, you can always kind of brush it off real quick. So we'll just come across that. So see how that's turned out pretty good. I'm learning this as we go, so don't feel intimidated. Just kind of think of it as the light coming down onto the model, and just like as you look down at it, you can see where the light's going to hit, you know, some of these areas here, and you know, like on the top of the knee and things like that, and not so much on the underside. So we can really just come down here, and we can really hit the top of that knee and see where that light would come down. And then as we come down, we can just come straight down, and we can come on to this little joint here, and then on the top of his boots on the front there. And then we might get a little bit down on this side, but we're still going to get some shadows that come down on here, on this area, because of the shade, as this is up like this. So we're going to have a little bit of a shade coming down here. At least I think so. So yeah, not too bad. Thing there. The underside is, again, there's a little to be desired for this model, but it was free, so can't complain too much. Yeah, I really need to put some rubber feet on the bottom of this thing. And now we will come down this. Just kind of where the light would hit. Especially on right there. Just do a little bit on his crotch, a little bit. And then the light will come down onto his boot, straight down, a little bit on the toe of his boot. And it should turn out pretty good. So far it is. Loaded up. Loaded up. That should be. Some of these brighter areas we can end up hitting. And then coming down to his boot. And we'll just kind of play with this a little bit. And there we can see we got some some shadows coming down here and a little bit of shadow there. Not too bad. It's a tad warm. Try to turn down the air conditioner to save a little bit, but we'll end up there. More on the boot. More on that boot there. There. So yeah, you can see we're coming along pretty good on this. Getting some good details on this. There are some things I could have cleaned up in post-processing after printing this, but we're going to kind of do the grimdark look on this guy anyway. So. And down the back side, we're going to have some light hit here and a little bit of light hit here, but on the inside, it'll kind of, because the light is coming down kind of like this, so we'll just hit the back of that, and then maybe a little bit more on this side here. And then we should be pretty close to done with this guy. And I think that'll look pretty good. So now the question is, when will my speed paints get here? You know, we could end up doing is using some of our inks. I got some other colors of ink, and maybe I haven't never done that before except with the troll, the cave troll and his skin. So we could try doing something like that. That turned out really good. So. There we go. So that's something that you know, we could end up doing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. For the few people who are watching, a little bit of background on me, if you care. My wife and I, what we ended up doing is we sold everything in the United States that we owned, except for a couple of suitcases. And what we ended up doing is we ended up retiring and we moved to Korea, here in Korea. So we did that. That was an exciting trip. How's that going to stand? I guess we'll get a little bit on there. And yeah, so what we ended up doing is retiring here in Korea. Be able to retire early. So that worked out great. Have more golden years. Expenses are about half of what we're paying in the United States. So yeah, we'll lose some money because we retired early, but we're getting a lot of time being retired. So, you know, the trade-off is I think we're going to do good. Just kind of want to hit this with a little bit more light there, a little bit more light there, and definitely on that edge there. And really, I think we are, I think we're just about good. I think we ended up, that's what we end up having. So there it is. And hopefully the light doesn't wash this out too much. But you can see that and how we kind of kept it a little bit darker on this side. We still got some details on the back of his legs and stuff like that. You can see that it's really dark under there. But we still kept some light up towards the top and then just kind of let it peter out as it came down here. So we get the light striking here. Definitely a lot lighter on these areas. And yeah, the tops, maybe we still get a little bit of paint. We could put some more on these areas here, which I think we got to last a little bit. And I think that could work out. Kind of just lighten that up just a little bit more. Maybe that was it. Maybe, yeah, because it's activating that paint a little bit more. Maybe I just needed some more, needed that thing dampened a little bit. I think that's what it was. Yeah. There it is, folks. What we ended up doing is a little bit of dry brushing, and there is our model. I think it turned out pretty good. So definitely got the light where we want it, and I'm trying to wait for this to come up on my tablet, but it's like a little slow. So it's not too bad. In the video, it kind of washes these areas out. I think it's just because of the light. So maybe if we darken that up a little bit, we'll see how that goes. But I think this will turn out pretty good. So a little bit of dry brushing goes a long way. And some areas, I think we're just kind of, I think we're done with our paints. Maybe. Can we squeeze a little bit more? Yeah, we can. That's a little bit. So, I think we're good, folks. I think we are good. So there it is. What we end up having is our Warhammer Dude that we ended up FDM printing, by the way, and then primed in black. We didn't do any filler or anything. It's just kind of like, we printed him, it worked. I was kind of surprised. We had to do a little bit of glue repair on his staff and hammer, but that worked out okay. And then, yeah, just primered in black, and now we just end up doing the white and doing the dry brush. And I think we can call it good. So yeah, there it is. I think we're good to go on that. Turned out pretty good. And what we'll end up doing on the other guy, we'll save this guy for another video. So on the next one, we'll do this guy and we'll dry brush him. So we'll get some more practice. That shield's going to look pretty good. And again, this was a free figure off of Colts 3D. So I still got some little dingleberries hanging off of there. But I think this will come out really nice as well. but you can definitely see how the difference between just primed and black versus doing the dry brushing, and you definitely get a lot more details. So yeah, you can see on the back there, you can see the difference between those. Looks pretty good. I think it turned out pretty good. So with that being said, we're just going to leave these guys right here and they will dry up. Just kind of, I think he stands on his own almost. Yep, good enough. So that's what we got going on. Got to clean up the brush. We got to do that, and nothing crazy going on. Just kind of enjoying the painting and doing some stuff. That was one of the things I had problems with. That I'd paint, I'd be so tense, and because I was so nervous and so, how would you put it? I just want to do everything right all the time, and that actually put me in a place of where I was like, I didn't want to do anything because I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it perfect, which is not a good place to be. That'll really put you into a paralysis, and you just need to paint. I had so much wasted time just watching video after video after video and not painting. And really what it comes down to is you just need to put paint on the brush, learn how to thin your paints, and just start with priming. You know, prime it up. If you do a spray can primer or airbrush primer, it doesn't really matter. You can even brush prime it with black. I prefer spraying it in some way, shape, or form. But then after that, you know, just learn how to dilute your paints, because most people, when you first start off, everything is way too thick. So if you dilute your paints, and then less is more, so there's that. And then, yeah, just kind of run a little bit at a time and just do one figure at a time. I remember I started out with like this little 32 millimeter dude, and yeah, just, I don't even think I primed him. I think I just ended up just started painting the model. And yeah, I mean, it's not anything crazy, but this is one that I just didn't finish, but this was just the one that I put the blue on. And, you know, start doing the details, and things will be okay. That's a good thing about painting, is that things will be okay. The worst case scenario, you just paint over it. Reprime it, repaint it, you get some more practice. So, man, this brush is rough. I'm gonna have to do this in the sink, because that is really caked in there. So, yeah, and the other thing, don't let the paint go up into here. This is called your ferrule, where you know, the bristles are glued into, and you have this metal piece that's around it. You don't want paint to get up there, so pretty much try to just keep your paint in like the bottom half or the bottom third of the brush, and you should be good to go. That'll help with keeping your paint brushes in good condition. Because if you don't, you will know. And I know this from experience. So, yeah. Imagine that. Start off with some cheap brushes. You don't have to get like the artist opus brushes. Those things are really expensive. Just get a cheap set of brushes and just start off. And then if you really like doing painting, then you can go and get some better brushes. With that being said, you know, good equipment is good to have because you get good results. Granted, you need skill to use those tools, but you know, that's there's something to be said for good equipment as well. Even if you don't know how to use them really well, some stuff is better than others. So yeah, keep that in mind. So, but the thing is, I started off with the paintbrushes that came in a basic set of Warhammer little 32 miniatures that had some paints and a paintbrush. I think it was a number 2 paintbrush, and it really wasn't a good paintbrush. It was okay for what I was doing. and it's probably still okay now. I mean, you know, they're not bad unless you're, you know, really pushing the envelope and trying to get super good and Picasso level style. You know, don't worry about it. You know, there's time. Just try to get and learn how to do the painting stuff. So, let's see. Nimajad says it looks really nice. How long you've been painting figures? Actually, it's about 2 years now. So, and prior to that, before I painted anything, I was 10 years old. So, yeah. And this is the last thing that I just finished painting was this cave troll here. And the cave troll turned out pretty darn good. I was really happy with that. I tried some different things and some different techniques, and the cave troll just came out banging. That just turned out awesome. So, but thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Just watch some videos, see what you need to do to prime a miniature or a figure, and then how to put on the base coat, and then just how to use the brush to put on the details. You know, draw the paintbrush towards you in a straight line, and then move the model, and then paint straight, and then move the model and paint straight down. If you try to go straight sideways, what I've found anyway, is what happens is that my hand's not as steady as if I'm set, you know, with both my arms against the table, and then bringing the brush straight down to me, I have a lot more control. So that's some interesting little things. At least it works for me and a few other people online. So if it helps me, it could probably help anybody. So, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, the cave troll came out really, really good. I'm super happy with that. I wasn't expecting that good at all. But the combination of the inks that we used for the skin on that's something I wasn't planning on doing, but I was like, hey, contrast paints and speed paints are kind of diluted. Inks are diluted to some degree, so why can't we use the inks to do the skin of the cave troll? And it worked out great. Who knew? What are the odds? So probably going to do some more stuff with the inks, and I do have other colors that I'm thinking maybe I'll do some, try that with this guy. We'll see how that goes. And like I said, the worst thing that happens is I'll paint over it and start again. So still have to clean that up a little bit. Still got some stuff in there. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching the video. Thank you for the comments. I appreciate that. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That is probably the best thing that you can do for me. That I would really appreciate that, trying to grow the channel, trying to learn and do, get better at this stuff as a hobby, keep the mind active as I get older. I'm almost 59 here, so old dog's got to learn some new tricks, and I'm really enjoying this. I can't just go to the gym all the time, so, you know, got to do something else. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get up here, and we will switch to the closeout screen. And on that closeout screen, you'll notice that we got a scrolling ticker. And the scrolling ticker are people who have bought me coffee. There's a link in the description box. There's also my email address that I will always answer everybody. Give it a couple days, but I'll answer anybody about anything. And then, yeah, that's it. And the scrolling ticker, a bunch of people I respect because they bought me coffee. But again, the best thing that you could do is to like and subscribe to the channel and just kind of enjoy the work that we're doing on painting miniatures and models and doing 3D printing, resin, FDM, just kind of enjoying our time here. So with that said, again, thank you for watching. I appreciate that, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace. Alrighty. That turned out good. Good.